The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of WTJX, its board, staff, or underwriters.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Recovery in Focus. I'm Adrienne Williams-Octalien. Hospitals, schools, roads, housing, and power. Governor Bryan named these as his top priorities when the Office of Disaster Recovery started in 2019, a fateful February, and he's not wavered. While these long-term recovery areas have expanded to include health, human services, and other infrastructure projects, the focus has always been to get projects into construction and expend those recovery dollars efficiently. With the completion of over 786 projects and more than 400 active projects in the pipeline, it's clear the recovery is moving. So stick with us for the details on what's happening and what has been done by the governor himself as he makes his second appearance on Recovery in Focus. First, let's take a brief look at other disaster-related projects making news headlines in the territory.
From the WTJX studio on St. Croix, I am Artra Watlington Francis. A project to strengthen the resilience of the power grid on St. Croix is nearing completion. The Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority is set to wrap up a $3.7 million undergrounding project on the Big Island. Matthias Clark, mechanical engineer, gives us an update.
So far, 9 electrical manholes have been installed, in addition to over 20,000 linear feet of electrical cable. These cables lay in buried conduit that run along Route 663, which is adjacent to the St. Croix Central High School. The newly installed transmission lines connect to existing feeder infrastructure, our Gregory E. Willock substation, and to 5 newly installed pad-mounted transformers that lower the voltage to consumer levels and provide resilient power to our customers. Currently on this project, we were able to pick up along the route key facilities such as parts of the Central High School, the Kings Hill Funeral Home, the Agape Medical Center, the Pentecostal Church, and junctions have been installed to allow for future expansion into residential areas.
The authority anticipates the completion of the project by July 2023. On the west side of St. Croix, recovery progress continues. The Virgin Islands Housing Authority is pushing through with its plans to revitalize the Walter I. M. Hodge Pavilion in Frederiksted. Recently, contractor Benton Construction finished the refurbishment of Building 20, staying on track with the project schedule to have more than 90 units ready for move-in by the end of 2023. James Benson, president of Benton Construction, has more details.
Starting with the existing buildings, we did unit trashing of all the units, and then after that our crews went through and did the lead and asbestos abatement. Structurally, we had to make some modifications to bring up these buildings to code, adding 2 shear walls on the interior stairwells, as well as the 2 entryways you see behind me. In addition, on the exterior, we have all new impact-resistant windows, new louvers, a brand new standing seam roof, and this beautiful EFIS system with the colors that were selected. On the interiors, we have also completely gutted the interiors and are coming back with state-of-the-art kitchens and bathrooms. These kitchens include solid surface quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, shaker-style cabinet doors, and new SPC flooring throughout the units. So very happy to show the quality of the work on these buildings.
The Housing Authority's Chief Operating Officer, Lydia Pell, was also on site to mark the progress of the $117 million project.
As we move to the completion of the first phase of the Walter I. M. Hodge Revitalization Project, we see families that are going to be living in new conditions, resilient buildings, and a recovery project that has been successful with a combination of funding from FEMA CDBG-DR, low-income tax credits, and a construction loan that was secured by the development group.
The 4-phase revitalization effort is expected to bring more than 240 units back online before the end of 2024. Power and housing projects are not the only sectors making news in the territory. The Department of Health recently held a press conference to notify the public of plans to begin the demolition of the Charles Harwood Medical Complex in Christiansted. Commissioner Justa Encarnacion shared her excitement on this significant milestone.
Today, really and truly, is just a time when we say this is what's happening, keeping you informed as a community, and then looking forward to what is going to come. This is not the only time we're going to be meeting with you. We will be meeting with you on an ongoing basis so that you can actually see what's going on a year-to-year basis. Looking forward to the groundbreaking and finally to the ribbon cutting.
Project specialist Rosalinda Brown explained the specifics of what the community can expect from contractor Lamar Tech during the demolition phase.
Their scope of work includes the abatement and removal of all hazardous asbestos and lead-containing materials and the clearings of the structures on site. This includes the demolition of the 3-story main building, the 2-story annex, 5 outer buildings, and a relocation of other temporary structures on the site. We have established approved project work hours, which will be limited to 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, unless otherwise indicated. We are committed to completing the project within the approved timeline by the fourth quarter of 2023. Safety is our top priority, and we have taken extensive measures to ensure the safety of staff and the surrounding community members during the demolition process. We have also implemented environmental controls to ensure that the demolition process is carried out in a responsible and sustainable manner.
Steps to mitigate weather, storm water, drainage, dust, and noise will be implemented. The department asks the public to proceed with caution and adhere to construction signage. For more information, you can contact the Department of Health at 340-718-1311 or Lamar Tech at 305-2738-676. Also scheduled to begin demolition in April is the Charles Tappy Seals Fire Station in Grove Place. The $437,000 contract was awarded to Marco St. Croix and should be complete by July 2023. The facility will be rebuilt as a fire station and multi-purpose center. Assistant Director of the Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Services, Antonio Stevens, tells us more about the project.
This project costs somewhere in the estimate about $5 million to complete. We are right now in the demolition phase where we'll be demolishing the old station. Currently, we have our firefighters living and housing in an annex right next to the old station, which is 208 and 209 Grove Place. So we're not too far away from the original fire station.
On St. Thomas, critical repairs are underway at the Emile Berry Fire Station in Dorothea. Jonelle Jackson, Public Information Officer for the Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Services, shares the specifics.
The project will be completed by Caribbean Contracting Services, Inc., and the total investment for this project is $387,940. We anticipate the completion of this project by the end of 2023. The project plan, comprised of 20 scheduled tasks, have several remaining related to the removal and installation of the new HVAC components, security, lighting, and painting of the station. We thank the community for their ongoing support as we continue to improve our services and facilities throughout the territory.
For more information on these and other disaster recovery projects in the territory, log on to www.usviodr.com.
Well, joining me on set is I don't want to leave home without our Dayna Clendenin, Interim Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. So Dayna, let's welcome to the show our top executive, the Honorable Governor Albert Bryan Jr.
Welcome. Well, thank you. You guys are having a good time here. I want my own show.
It's always a pleasure to have you. You know, there's a lot to squeeze in this short hour, so we're going to get started. We know that the healthcare services in the territory has really been a significant concern for years, long before you took office, Governor. And so, you know, when you took on this responsibility, tell me, what was your vision for healthcare in the territory?
Well, I think the primary thing for healthcare in the territory is access. People actually being able to access healthcare, and we did a lot of things in the onset to make sure that, like making sure they get certificates of needs for urgent care centers, which lessens the burden on the hospitals. But the real vision is really to have a collective healthcare system where we bring our two hospitals up to on par with any hospital in the United States. We create some partnerships with private sector corporations, and then we create an internal healthcare insurance system that we make sure we get that gap, people who are not getting healthcare now, business owners, people who live here and can't buy individual health insurance, so you're covered. And then the next part of that is creating a healthier horizon, like our program said. And the main push in that is getting people out, getting Virgin Islanders out, healthy, active, and changing the way that we eat and live so that we have less people entering into that system.
Yes,
I think that was a great initiative with the Healthy Horizons.
Well, you know, we stole from personality,
Yeah.
you know. It's like the most impactful health initiative that I have ever seen was 10,000 Steps when Kenny Herman was at Personnel.
Right.
And that's stuck in my mind, and how we can change entire communities' outlook just by doing it with the government workers, because the government employees get their friends to come walk with them and everybody else. So it's great.
Excellent. You know, that vision, and you're talking about having access. You know, our cancer patients in the territory haven't had access to oncology care at the Charlotte Kimmelman Cancer Institute since Hurricanes Irma and Maria just ravaged through that facility. So FEMA obligated over $50 million for the replacement of the Charlotte Kimmelman Cancer Institute in June, and we have access to those funds now. Keyword being access. Darryl Smalls, Executive Director for the Territorial Hospital Redevelopment Team, is providing us an update. Take a listen.
I am happy today to report that the Territorial Board, in collaboration with the Territorial Hospital Redevelopment Team, has selected Benton Construction for the selective demolition of the Charlotte Kimmelman Cancer Institute. This contract, which is slated to last approximately 90 days at a cost of $888,000, will proceed with the internal demolition of the hurricane-damaged Charlotte Kimmelman Cancer Institute.
You know, Governor, when you gave that mandate that you want to make sure that the Charlotte Kimmelman is back online, because all of the other hospitals, healthcare facilities, really had a temporary solution. There was a temporary solution for JFL, a temporary solution for Myra Keaton, but there's no temporary solution for Charlotte Kimmelman. You know, how important it is for you to make sure that we continue to provide those services locally for people that are really challenged at that time.
Well, imagine how scary it is, or how scary it was during COVID. I mean, we're still in that for people with compromised immune systems, traveling on an airplane to the States in order to get medical care. One of the things that we did too, not only in prioritizing this, but we have allotted some $500,000 to the Cancer Fund now to help families that are people suffering with cancer, to give them assistance, because we have organizations that have been doing that, whether it's JAG or YAG or the other foundations, the Cancer Institute in St. Thomas. We're giving them that money now, so now they can help even more families get care.
Yes, you know, and folks will say, well, why so long? You know, the Bipartisan Budget Act passed in 2019, where it really allowed the territory and Puerto Rico to rebuild back to industry standards. And to date, we have only just received funding for Charlotte Kimmelman. We actually don't have the funding right now. We talk about our temporary solution, right. JFL North. It has been your #1 priority project, but it has also been a project that has been met with some challenges.
Well, a lot of times in the Virgin Islands, we think that we are exempt from the changes of the world. We're not exempt from supply chain issues, inflation, shortages. on a whole have been just horrific for everyone. And with the increase in spending by the U.S. government, more ARPA funds for us is great, but it means more ARPA funds for every state. They're trying to do the same types of things, sucking up resources from all over. So it's getting increasingly difficult not only to get workers, but to get resources into the islands.
So no, with the Wang F. Louis North facility, we have word that the construction should be completed by October
30th.
Yes. And what kind of mandates have you given? You know, people ask, well, what can the governor do? What were the challenges that you met with when it came to JFL North?
I mean, we started with a building that wasn't made to spec, and then all of the things weren't applied for. And that's the kind of loss you get when you switch from administration to administration. You lose institutional knowledge. So it took us a while to realize that there were no furnishings and equipment slated for this place. I mean, even when we got the building done, then we were like 30 to 90 days we're going to be able to connect it to the hospital. No one had tested the system to realize that the medical equipment could not make the hospital as well as JFL North work at the same time. So we had to build an entire new building. The ambulance ramp wasn't compensated for. There was over $1 million for that one thing alone. The water tank. I mean, it was just one thing after the next, but none of us had ever built a hospital before. But I think we're on track now, and Darryl is making it happen. He's making it happen over there at the hospital.
Yes, that whole idea with the territorial hospital redevelopment team is really about creating a system in which we can manage our hospitals. You can share equipment. You know, if there's a part that's missing on St. Thomas or St. Croix, you can actually share resources, make it a more efficient. So we're looking at October 30th, and then another several days testing to be able to move in the hospital. So you anticipate that we'll move in the hospital this year?
From your lips to God's to ears, yeah, we're going to open it this year. I mean, it's at the point now where the main structure is becoming so compromised. The people that work there every day, much less the people that come in for care, it's a serious situation. I mean, I've experienced that firsthand, taking a friend of mine to the hospital and having to walk them out to the porta potty outside, the portable bathroom. That's not a good situation. When you are not feeling at your best, that's not what you want to go through with. So we want to make sure we get people in there, but at the same time, there's no compromising people's safety, right? We're going to move them into a new building, and we're going to make sure that when we do that, that everybody's secure, employees as well as our patients.
Correct. And you've been in a fight with Roy Schneider on St. Thomas with FEMA. And what kind of influences did you exert in order for us to get to the point where we do have a replacement? They are going to replace Roy Lester Schneider.
I mean, remember, we were dealing with two presidential offices or administration. We started out in the Trump administration, and then we ended up in the Biden, and very different messages and signals from one administration to the next. When we had that summit at Government House with the participation of the delegate, the head of FEMA, the FEMA administrator, and everybody else that was in there, you were there, remember?
Yeah.
That was, to me, the linchpin that really made things started to go. Once that was pulled, we started to get movement now, but we still got a lot of 428 projects to get done. And those are tough because we want to get the maximum we can get as an agent, as a government. In FEMA, they want to make sure that it's fair and that it's equitable, and they did their jobs as well, too.
Absolutely. We've been in serious conversations with FEMA on Myra Keating and whether or not the costing for that, and that's really been holding us up in getting our funding to be obligated so we can start construction. I think it's important to note that the only hospital permanent repair funding that we have is for Charlotte Kimmelman. We do not have any funds because a lot of people believe that we have funds that we're not spending.
No, they believe that we have a big vault at Government House with $11 billion in it that we just go and draw from. But it's still a process. The Bipartisan Budget Act is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because we get an opportunity to really rebuild everything, but it's a curse because it seriously delays the recovery, and the hospitals are one of those things where we're trying to get maximum dollars because when is the next time we're going to have an opportunity to rebuild 4 medical institutions? That's never going to happen again, and be able to get that money essentially free with 10%. So this is a tremendous opportunity. This is I mean, what's going on in the Virgin Islands is renaissance, game-changing. It's not recovery, it's transformation.
Transformation. That's your word, transformation. We also got an update from the Department of Health on their projects. First up, obligated in May for $251 million is the demolition and reconstruction of the Charles Harwood Medical Complex on St. Croix. And we spoke to Steve Jackson. He's a principal at Flad Architects. He gave us some details.
So we've broken this into two different phases. The first is demolition. The demolition drawings have been complete. They've been issued for bid. Lamar Tech has been selected as a contractor. We're currently in negotiation of that contract and the finalization of it for $1.7 million for that demolition. The second part of the project is the design of the replacement facility. So we've completed our 60% drawings for that portion of the work. We've moved into the 90%. What that means is we've designed the exterior, we've designed the rooms, we've designed the layout within the rooms. So we're working on the details of the enclosure of those rooms, those final construction details, to make sure the building is hurricane hardened and resilient.
Well, you know, the Department of Health is also managing other recovery projects, and Charles Harwood is really underway, and we're pretty excited about that. And you know, they're not only doing that, they're doing the WIC buildings, and we have a lot of other projects that all through 786 projects and some really major ones. The Department of Agriculture provided funding for WIC buildings on St. Croix and St. Thomas. Assistant Commissioner Ruben Malloy, he has some more details that he'll share with us.
The first one is our WIC Newt Hansen project. WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children. That is a project on St. Thomas. It was awarded to J. Benton. It's a $3.57 million project. We received the notice to proceed last month, September, the end of September, and that project is scheduled to last for 1 year and to be completed August 2023. The second project is the WIC Frederiksted building renovation project. We are awaiting the notice to proceed. That project has been awarded to Heights Construction and is scheduled to last 3 months and, at a cost of $714,000.
You know, you talked about, it's just not the federal dollars that's coming into the territory. It's actually what those dollars are designed to do. And, you know, those WIC buildings are just not only buildings, but we're providing support to women, infants, and children.
I mean, it's miraculous when you, I mean, even for me, right? I was stuck at 267. It's 400 projects now in progress. That's amazing. And when you see the impact on women, infants, and children, they show the clip of my speech. That's serious, you know. I mean, Caribbean women have always been powerful. When we empower them, we give them a little bit more resources with that WIC. It is just transforming what could actually happen. And, you know, we certainly say I'm outnumbered here on this show. And
yeah, I'm just thinking, I was a beneficiary of WIC. I remember my mom, God, she's going to kill me. But yeah, so I love it.
Yes.
You know, the Virgin Islands was one of the pilot programs for WIC. I pick up stuff all the time. I think it's in 1974 or 72 that they actually started as a pilot and has come this far with WIC. So, I mean, have you ever seen the price of formula? Well, y'all know.
Yes, it's been a while.
Lately. Lately.
It's been a while. You know, on the other side of that, I learned firsthand while taking care of both of my parents as they age, the importance of having long-term care for our elderly population. FEMA has made a lot of progress with obligations for healthcare projects this year, and the Queen Louise thankfully made the list, Home for the Aged, and it was awarded $65.7 million in September. You know, getting that funding is important because they say that you can tell a lot about the country by the way that they treat their elderly and their young.
I think that's a 60 or 80 bed unit as well, right?
Yes.
So that's going to be awesome.
But I mean, the largest part of the population is the elderly. And as our parents age, more and more services needed. You know, I can't tell you how many people I speak to now just saying they need home care.
Yeah.
We have a problem at the hospital with people essentially abandoning their parents at the hospital, and we have to be able to take care of them. We don't have available beds that we could transfer them into facilities. The key with this is getting skilled nursing facilities that we could actually charge Medicaid with the Medicare with the bill, so we will have a subsidy in order to take care of us. And we always, you know, originally this was like an 80, 90 bed thing. I had to tell the commissioners, like, we don't have enough people now to man the Queen Louise Home, hospitals, and the other healthcare agencies we have, both public and private. Like, where are these people going to come from? So we can't bite off more than we can chew, but aging and housing for the aging is a big issue in this next decade, and we're doing the things now that are going to make us prepared.
Absolutely. You know, the Queen Louise Home for the Aged also received a obligation for temporary funding because, you know, you can't fix a building while it's being occupied. So the design is currently being done for the temporary facility, and also simultaneously, because, you know, I tell the staff all the time, we don't wait. You can't wait and create and transform. So, you know, they're just designing the temporary facility, and they're also designing the permanent facility. And also, we're still continuing to work with FEMA on Herbert Grigg, because St. Croix will not be left behind. And also on St. John, actually St. John bust the gate really early with the Adrienne Senior Center of one of the completed projects. We were extremely excited about seeing that. I know you've been there.
I love good things when it's happening on St. John. I love to hear that.
We always had an excuse to go to St. John up at the Adrienne Center. I was up there the other day. It was Turnbull's funeral, Governor Turnbull's funeral, the Lieutenant Governor, when I was up there. I promised to go back and cook some chicken and rice for them one day. But they not only have like activities all day long, and they have arts and crafts, and, you know, it was nice to visit with them up there at the center. And we're trying to get other senior centers coming along as well too, because Our Best Lives, another program that we run, is about getting seniors more active. They've had a lot of senior deterioration because, I mean, for 2.5 years, 2 years, they didn't have anybody to talk to, they couldn't go out. So now we're trying to get them into safe spaces.
All right. You know, you heard it here. The governor is cooking chicken and rice up in St. John. And that day, you don't have to be an elder to go. Just get in line because the governor's chicken and rice.
You get chicken and rice. You get chicken and rice.
Next up on the priority list are the territory schools. You know, we're going to jump right into the school. The very first new school is on its way, Governor.
Coming full speed ahead. I can't wait. You know, the drawings and the plans look good. You know, I keep harassing the commissioner. We need to put that virtual walkthrough someplace where you can find it, because I'm always looking for it, showing it off to people like, look, this place looks like a first-class hotel. I know our students are going to be inspired to learn there.
Yes. You know,
it really is. I mean, we saw on some of our shows with Department of Education what that looks like. So if you haven't seen that episode, go back and look. It's really great.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
As we're having a very first school that's built at Arthur A. Richards Junior High School, you know, just to give the viewing audience, you know, how long this actually takes. You know, those funds were obligated. First dollars that came into the territory for a rebuild of a new school came in January of this year. And what we did, we made sure that we started working and running before. It's like a relay, and we have the design has been worked on, and we're also moving forward. A demolition is, you can't see Evelyn Williams anymore. The old facility is going to be replaced with a state-of-art new school, and we have not had a new school on St. Croix since the St. Croix Educational Complex.
Wow, 95.
It's a long time ago.
27 years.
Yes, you actually had several decades ago, and you have many graduating classes since we had a new school.
And this school will be energy efficient. It will be designed for air conditioner. It would have. It's going to be beautiful. I really can't wait to see that.
We're very excited. You know, Dr. Hedrington, Commissioner Designee,
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yes. She is completely excited about a new school and what it means for the children on St. Croix. But St. Thomas will not be left undone. The Charlotte Amalie High School. You're a chicken hawk? No, you kind of was.
We got to say a chicken hawk. Every time I go, right, I look to see where we are with the demolition. It's kind of like bittersweet, though, because, you know, when you used to walk in those halls and stuff to see it all being torn down. But the new school, once again, looks fantastic. I mean, when we did the annex, I think that was last year, we opened up the annex, and you got you could get like a glimpse into the future of what these schools are gonna look like. It's just beautiful. And I can't wait. The road's gonna turn around. We're actually talking right now about redevelopment for Sugar Estate and all that property around there, because there's so many different facilities going in. The traffic flow is gonna become an issue from Raffoon Hill and the other way up Polyberg Hill. How do we get people in and out of that place between 7 and 8 and between 3 and 5 and then again at 5 and 7 to make the traffic flow? Because the hospital's going there, the skilled nursing center, the health building, the new school. You already have Adelita Cancrine, pre-K through 8, and there are other private developments being built as well. So lots of activity in that one circle.
Yes, there's a lot going on over there.
I love the forward thinking on that, because too many times things go up and we go,
Yeah.
how did this get done? Who didn't consider traffic? So I love the forward thinking.
Well, there's a lot that goes into all of the planning, and is a collaboration again for all of, I call them the recovery leaders, you know, the people who make the Department of Public Works, you know, Commissioner Gabriel, Jomo McLean, I just didn't start calling names, but all of the utilities, everything that really makes the recovery move. Back in August, we visited Charlotte Amalie High School to find out, you know, what the students thought about the new annex. And you know, we got some really, really, really interesting comments. Take a listen.
I think it's very good. I really like it. In my last year in high school, I experienced that class. I like how the chair was. I like the seats. It's good.
The new addition annex is a really, really good place because it's more comfortable, in my opinion, than this classroom that we have right now. It's easier for the teachers to be looking at the students if they're not paying attention.
I also like the fact that they are like really spacious and you can see what is going on inside the classroom.
Well, I was blown away at that opening for the annex, Charlotte Amalie Annex. What were your thoughts?
No, I was excited too, because I was like, why can't we just build them all right now? And I was also really excited about the fact that we're building a new skill center down in Curran Terrace. That was exciting as well too. So seeing those classrooms for the first time, you could walk by and you could look in. The convertible, you can make them bigger by pulling across a blind or make them smaller. They're so versatile, not only for that, but for other things.
Oh yeah, I was like, wow, this is the future. We got a sneak peek into the future for all of what our students, you know, 17 spaces that can accommodate up to 27 students for a total of 459 ninth graders. Huge implications for education in the territory. And you also did some work on Lumukal on St. Croix, because we didn't just sit and wait idly by, because school had to be in session, and we had to utilize some of our own resources to keep the schools together. So we also replaced that building in Lumukal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maintaining 60-year-old building is like constant work, and education has done a good job of doing that. So putting it together and then actually going out there and cutting the ribbon. They even planted it up and everything, so it looked really nice. That was rewarding as well too. Lumukal, they're doing really well. They have a vibrant principal over there, and their librarian is always on me for more resources. So if you live in that area, I know you're enjoying the school.
Well, you can't forget St. John though, so we're still waiting for additional funds to be obligated for schools like Julia Sproul and also other recovery projects to improve our educational opportunities. And you know, some of those priorities, of course, of the Adelita Cancrine or Julia Sproul, but those schools we've not gotten any monies for However, the Department of Education is already working on designs so that once the funding hits, we can start off running. How is that
guess what?
frustrating?
Guess what? Though?
Tell me.
We had a meeting to review the National Park Service Memorandum of Agreement that would give us the land to build a new Julius Sprouse School. It's a land swap, and it's getting like closer and closer to reality. We're hoping before the end of the year, we'll actually have those 4 acres turned over to us, and St. John will finally have land to build a pre-K through 12.
This is huge.
It is huge. I mean, reading that memorandum of agreement, I actually got goosebumps because it's just like, it's really happening. I mean, we talked about this thing as far back as 2007, and I was in the conversation back then. So I know it was being talked about before then, but now we not only have the new property, but we have getting the resources, the money to actually build a school. And then we're going to decide what we're going to do with all that property in town as well, too.
Right, but those are good problems to have, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not only talking about our schools, but our preschools and Head Starts receive $42 million and to redo all of the Head Starts
I'm
across
excited
the
about
territory. That's just tremendous.
Is that, so I have a question for you. Like, I keep passing that part in front of Country Day that they cleared. Now, Lutheran Social Services, I understand, is doing an $8 million Head Start project there. And they're going to have, I think, like 4 Head Starts in there, 2 indoor playground, outdoor playground. I think it's part of this $42 million.
Well, the $42 million is actually to redo all of the existing Head Starts. So
this is new money.
This is new money, and you have Head Starts at Concordia, Charles Emmanuel School on St. Croix, Tabor and Harmony, Minetta Mitchell and Lindbergh Bay, Bolongo on St. Thomas, and Cruz Bay on St. John. But in addition to that, the facilities, the existing facilities, have a facelift with their playgrounds, so playground equipment. So you know, that's.
I remember working on that problem. All these things come to me as problems. Like, we got to get this money spent before the time runs out. So.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what, though, when you start to talk about some of the challenges we have, supply chain issues are real. They're, you know, people talk about what's stopping on a day-to-day on any particular project. You have an elbows that you would think are a dime a dozen, but made with a special material to hold up a $50 million project just because you can't get enough elbows.
Well, I mean, look at a simple thing like Vendors Plaza that we're working on in downtown Charlotte Amalie, right? The price of steel kept moving while we were negotiating the contract and everything to build that. When we finally got everything going and stuff, a hurricane totally delayed shipping again. So it's not only things around COVID, it's just what's happening all over at any time. Lots of stuff get just caught up in this whirlwind of whatever is going on in the country at the time.
We certainly experienced that too with our Ross mixed-use building, where we're trying to create housing as well as commercial opportunities. We started with steel, but it was so cost prohibitive. Now we have to move back to concrete, so I totally understand.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, you're charged with housing and increasing our housing stock, and the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority has been answering that call loud and clear.
Can I just take this minute to really just tell the listening audience and the governor as well that we just issued earlier last week, I believe, a notice of funding availability where we're trying to bring at least 12 homes with that $6.2 million in the Estate Fortuna Wild Pineapple area. So if you know of developers, there's more notice of funding availability to come. So we'll be issuing more and more of those. So it's a great opportunity for home ownership.
We're doing some stuff around home ownership as well too. Last week, we issued some $20 million in gap financing for moderate income home buyers, where we're granting people $100,000 to fix their gap or whatever it is needed. Go to the bank and talk to the bank about your project, and they will contact the EDA and fill in wherever your gap is. So I'm excited about that as well too. We've been working on creating housing solutions for workforce housing. We need more nurses, teachers, police officers, recovery specialists, those kinds of people, but they need places to live. And this particular program, we switch it around now. So unlike yours, you only have to be living here 3 years or have lived here 10 years or were born in the Virgin Islands, and you qualify, but with the same income limits, up to $260,000 you can make in a household in St. John, $242,000 in St. Thomas, and 213 in St. Croix. That's a pretty generous program. I mean, on both spaces in terms of people's earning power.
Yes, and we're making sure that you still go and sign up for a home buyer education course. You want to know how to start? You start by signing up and learning about this process, because I tell people it's probably the largest purchase you're ever going to make in your lifetime, and you probably got to get educated about it. So you can always go to the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority and enroll in a home buyer education course. And for the other program, the moderate income program, VI Slice with the governor, you can go straight to the banks. You know, the Housing Finance Authority has various projects as well that you've completed, because you know, that's Megan's Junction.
Very beautiful property, Governor. You were there as well in Megan's Junction.
Oh,
a great example of a private-public partnership.
Where I want to live.
So that is was completed. So we are excited about that, and it's fully occupied. We're grateful for that. We're doing a lot of work at the Fritz Loette's Lagoon over there, some retrofitting, new windows, making the space just more beautiful, you know. Again, reminding you about Wild Pineapple. Notice the funding availability there. So developers, please visit our website, vihfa.gov. We'd love to have you bid on some of those projects. And of course, we're always working with Envision. Just yesterday, I got a call. We completed another home. I'm like, thank God. I have another 11 that's in that 95th percentile to be completed. So really excited about that. Yeah, I think we are in a good position. You are going to see more of that coming out. So really excited about it.
Yes, you know, Envision tomorrow. Your phone has to be ringing a whole lot about Envision tomorrow.
Oh my God.
And but I know that there's a lot of things that you have in place that you're pushing on, 100 homes in your contract for 200 homes. So we expect to see a whole lot more happening, a whole lot faster in the upcoming weeks.
Oh yeah.
I think when people, you know, a lot of times people look at the trees in the administration and what's going on. When you get high enough to look at the forest, what is it we're trying to accomplish? We're trying to make living in the Virgin Islands more affordable. We're trying to create stronger families. How do we do that? You know, at a very young age, I built my house, had a manageable mortgage. That was like a catalyst for so much operations. Energy, and healthcare, schools, not having to pay the private school tuition, all things we're doing to make sure that people can afford to work and live in the Virgin Islands.
Oh yeah, you can't talk about affording and working in the Virgin Islands unless you talk about power and the Water and Power Authority, and that is also one of your priorities. I think you say you want to keep it on and keep it
cheap.
Tell us about, you know, where in your vision for the future of power and energy in the Virgin Islands.
I think we all have to start thinking about transitioning to renewable energy. Personally and island-wide or territory-wide using WAPA. WAPA has in store all kinds of great programs with wind and solar in order to start converting their energy source from fossil fuels into renewable ones. What does that do? That creates more money on the island for people to spend and creates that economy. We've purchased a set of Teslas trying to get people to move towards electric vehicles and using solar. Our $25 million Get Off the Grid program. All of these are things we're doing to make people more energy independent and making the territory energy independent.
That's right. You know, we have several projects forthcoming. Our staff engineer for the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, Odari Thomas, tells about one of the major projects that's being funded by the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority for the Water and Power Authority. Take a listen.
This project is a $95 million project funded by HUD through the CBDG-DR program, and it will see the installation of 4 9-megawatt reciprocating internal combustion engines and 9 megawatts, 18 megawatt hours of battery energy storage to power the St. Thomas St. John district. This generation will be reliable and efficient and also resilient because the buildings are designed to withstand hurricanes. Currently, we've already accepted delivery of the engines in the territory. The batteries have also arrived to the territory, as long as the step-up transformer that will be utilized to connect those units to the grid.
but we're also doing undergrounding. We just had Fiona pass by, and we're starting to get these undergrounding projects on St. Croix completed, projects on Cruz Bay, on St. Croix Container Port, Golden Grove, Midland. They're like 95% completed. So we're undergrounding the power so that when the storms come, we get the power back on really quickly.
We love that.
We love it.
Yeah, we don't like generators.
We
or
don't like
bailing water out of the system.
It makes too much noise. That's right. And they're also working on water projects to actually to replace some of those copper lines that are there, that brown water, and you're funding some of that as well.
Yeah, we're funding a lot of these projects you're talking about, so I'm excited. I'm super excited that I have Mr. Thomas on my team as well. So necessary to get the project.
Keep saying that out loud. You're gonna get
to
in
move
trouble.
these projects forward as well.
Yes.
But we also have $80 million of water expansion projects that we're doing as well too, that are not under CDBG or DR. They're under the ARPA. So places like Smith Bay, Bodo.
Yes.
Bodo, like a Saint-Omer.
Bodo, yes.
Are on the line for that, and other places that don't have water now. So it's great. Once again, a once in a lifetime chance to really expand our water and bring down the cost of building homes, because if you have potable water, you don't need a system.
Right, you need a large system. You may have a small one if you want one, but you don't have to have one. That's a critical point. Along with safe and resilient housing, better health care, resilient power sources, we need smooth roads. And DPW has been on the move tackling roads projects in both districts. We've been paving Clifton Hill, Melvin Evans, Gallows Bay Road, Lagoon Road, Muffling Road, Crown Mountain. I'm doing that on purpose.
It's a lot.
It is.
Was that one of your priorities,
You're
Governor?
welcome.
Yeah,
Look into the camera and say, you're welcome.
No, but it's funny now. It's like, it's actually chasing your tail, because as fast as we pave roads are becoming deteriorated. So like in St. Croix on the North Shore Road going past Gentlewind, that road used to be one of the best roads. That road is just falling into disrepair. So we got to get up fast. We got to get WAPA paying their own bills so we could pave more roads.
Well, in addition to the priority areas, there are other critical infrastructure projects already in motion. Our libraries, very important part, although some people think they don't have a usefulness anymore, but libraries are important aspects to build strong communities, and the Department of Planning and Natural Resources has over $19 million to restore libraries.
That's a lot of money. You know what's funny about that? Ms. Rogers' 7th grade class, 6th and 7th grade class, wrote to me about all the problems that they have in Adelita Cancra. She also made them write solutions. I was surprised at how many kids said libraries, that we don't have enough books in our libraries. So one of the things we're doing is DPNR has an electronic library now. I want to connect education. So it makes sense, right? If you get a library card in Juanita Gardine, you should be able to go down to Florence Williams and get a book with it. So connecting the systems, and you don't even need to go anymore. You could just access it online.
Well, that's going to help my debate. I've been debating with folks. We still need libraries.
We need libraries.
Yes. Don't debate me. Athalie McFarland Peterson Library is actually out to bid. It's working through the process, and we have Enid Ba that's going to get into construction next year, and Turnbull Library is also out to bid. So, we're looking for this month the completion of the Sproul Library on St. John.
It's going to be sweet. We're going to give out some electronic readers as well, too. That is a beautiful building. I had the pleasure to go in there myself and look at stuff. It wasn't a lot of work that needed to be done, but it definitely needed the paint job, and we're going to get that road paved. Well, no matter what I do, I'm going to get that road paved so you get a nice smooth ride up to the library.
The governor been promising things on here, and all the promises are going to St. John. First, he said he promised here that he's going to cook chicken and rice in Adrienne Senior Center, and now he's paving out the roads. If he doesn't do anything else, he's paving the road to the library. Folks, it's on St. John. This is where we got to go. We got to go to St. John. Leading the pack with multiple projects are construction and completed on the Department of Sports, Park, and Recreation. We're trying to get our parks on St. Croix, Isaac Boynes, Grove, that's just Grove Park, Pedro Cruz over there in Prophet, and also Emil Henderson in Frederickstead, and of course the excellent work that was done in the Midre Cummings Park.
Yeah, I mean, Calvert is most people's famous commissioner or favorite commissioner.
I think after Commissioner Gabriel started paving roads, he probably will gain a little.
They're running it close, but Calvert taller, so he getting it. You know, I think he winning it a little bit. You know, but
10 yards on the play.
But we need the parks. I mean, to come back, and it's all part of our healthier horizons and getting people outside and getting them active. You know what's tripping me out? How much people are starving for things to do. You could have a tiddlywink party. 100 people are going to show up. I mean, the softball tournament, the VIPR Friendship Day, the amount of people I saw come out for that, people are looking for good, healthy, affordable things to do with their family, and the ballparks are one of those places where you could go.
Right. You know, we can't keep the recovery ball in play without the hands that drive the projects. And let's talk about some of the initiatives to keep our people in the game. You know, workforce development, it's near and dear to you. You were the Commissioner of Labor. You should know about all of that. And then also your brainchild, you know, what GVI Fellows, what was in the whole concept in your mind to have a Fellows program like that?
Well, everybody comes home, you know, the most frightening thing is when you graduate from college and really realize you don't know nothing or you don't know anything.
You don't have enough experience.
You don't have a specific skill, and people you try to get a job and they always tell you you don't have any experience. How am I going to get experience? This is a program where we take the best and the brightest Virgin Islanders, bring them back, pay them top dollars, expose them to top-notch people, not only directly by the commissioner, but they also have a mentor in government. They learn how to network, and it's amazing how you can see the confidence level rise over the first year. You know, they were nervous about seeing me. Now I meet them in the airport. I'm like, where are you going? Oh, we're working on a project, sounding all sophisticated. And I'm like, you know, but they're doing good quality work and everybody wants to hire them.
Yes, we are in competition. I know that we're in competition. There's talent, and we start diving for it. But, you know, our office also, Governor, works closely with nonprofit, and you recently put a call out to our community partners. So tell us about how important it was for the nonprofits to be able to access their federal recovery funding.
I think the most blatant importance example of that is Wynn Museum. Here we are about to triple the amount of tourists we're going to have from cruise ships in St. Croix, and the Wynn Museum is closed. Being able to access a pot of dollars so they can get that started, even though it's funded, we did an excellent job of making sure that we get pay on invoice for them as well.
Yes, and that was something, and UCA in Frederickstead is also benefiting from that, and of course the St. Croix Animal Welfare Center. They have solicitations that are out there, and we actually bid on them so we can put these very important facilities back in service. Well, before we wrap up, we went out to speak to the community to hear about their concerns. So here's what they had to say.
My concern is the roads. He's done a very good job on repairing them, but there are still a lot of roads that need repairing. And he had promised that our income taxes would be up to date for 2021. Other than that, he's been doing a very good job.
I would like to ask the governor who benefits from additional cruise ships coming into Frederickstead Pier. It doesn't appear to me from speaking with local businesses that it helps the locals that much, and that at times it can be very disruptive to the local business, to traffic. The passengers aren't spending money in the local businesses. So my question is, why the additional cruise ships, and who benefits from those cruise ships coming into our island?
All right, so we ran the gamut on cruise ships in Frederickstead to really what's going on and the status of the repairs. So, you know, what does cruise ships mean to St. Croix?
So 3 things in tourism: extend the day, make people stay out longer, spending money longer; extend the spend, make them spend more money; and extend the stay, make them stay longer. Or instead of coming for a cruise, they come for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. One of the things that people miss is a lot of our repeat customers come because of cruise ships. They come for a day and they see them like, I want to come here and spend a week. So that's important. But that trickle down in the economy goes So St. Thomas gets like 1.5, 1.7 million passengers. Imagine if you sell a bottle of water to 90% of the people that come there, you have $1 million business. That's the way we have to think. Taxi riders, the way they stop, every dollar, every dime come. Right now, we have one of the highest average daily rates in the Caribbean right now, and we're 44% above all the islands in terms of attracting tourists to the island. So cruise ships is something that's in recovery right now because COVID, we were completely obliterated, and we're trying to up that. And you know, as you get more cruise ships, is what comes before, the chicken or the egg. I've seen Frederiksted come from, St. Croix come from a place that didn't have much to do to now we have zip lining, we have horseback riding, we have ATV tours, we have foot tours. So it's coming and it's growing, but this vast influx is great for us.
Right. You know, when this disaster first started, Bill Vogel, you know, I just didn't understand the implications of his words. And he said to me, you know, we're in for the long haul. And what was the long haul? The long haul is actually going to be at least another 10 years. At least another 10 years. And we're no different. We're no different than Louisiana. We're no different than New York. Anywhere that had a significant, we're no different than Puerto Rico. When we went up to the hearing, we realized that Puerto Rico is having the same amount of challenges that we're having. But we have done 786 projects that we've completed. We're still negotiating with FEMA to get funding. You're working on putting out all of the HUD funding out to your nonprofits as well as the other government entities for a tremendous amount of projects. The transformation is in effect. Governor, what do you want to leave the people with?
Well, I want to leave the people with understanding that every day Virgin Islanders, just like us, on every level of government and the private sector, get up and work on this. There's only so many people in the Virgin Islands that can do this. It's like drinking through a fire hose. So slowly but surely, I'm amazed that over 700 projects have already been completed. The major projects, we're going to get to them, but they're going to be done right. So in order to do it right, it takes a little bit of time, and we're going to dedicate that time to making sure this renaissance of the Virgin Islands will last for the next 100 years. It's
always really, 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 really a pleasure having you here with us. We have a great discussion. There's always so much to talk about, right?
Love it.
You can you know, but we have absolutely run out of time for today's show. And you can stay up to date by visiting us online at usviodr.com. You can also keep the discussion going at facebook.com/WTJX. Thank you for watching. We'll continue to build a legacy of resilience.